Hey everybody, this is Joshua here from sunny Portland, Oregon. We've got a few minutes before we start. And so I wanted to kind of turn the webinar on a little bit early and play you guys some music, some elevator music while you wait. And in chat, go ahead and mention where you're from. Also, you can start asking questions right below this video area. Yes, Muzak. There's an opportunity to ask questions, and it's better to ask your questions there because the chat is going to go really fast, and I'm not going to be able to keep up with it. But your questions, I'm going to keep up with. So put your questions there. Hey, Ed from South Florida. Hey, Trey from Chicago. Yes, that it will be recorded. Keep your questions down below the video. Jennifer from Ohio. Welcome, Jennifer. I think you and I have had multiple chats over the last week or so. Naomi from Las Vegas. Hey, TCJ. Yes, you are muted. I can't hear you singing along. Hey, David, thanks. Toronto, welcome. And Jimmy from Texas. All right. Hey, Nick. Welcome from California. Hey, Fran, I love the ukulele too. Alan, I am taking requests, but with one warning. You don't want me singing. I know the Hukilau. Start just in a minute here. I don't dance or sing. Thanks, Jack. Keep those questions coming in below. We're going to get to them in a bit. Hey, Victor from Mexico. We had a lot of folks sign up for today. 94 are currently on. Gina, put on your headphones. Yes, you're all Sumilings. All right, it's enough torture. Okay, welcome everybody. We're gonna get started. Yes. It's actually not a baritone, Alan. It's a super concert. That means it's a concert bell with a tenor neck. But we're not here to talk about ukulele sizes. Do you play? Let me know. In any case, welcome everybody. We did a similar video this morning, and we went over by 5 minutes. So I want to make sure we start on time, and so that we can end on time. I want to be respectful of that for you. Keep your questions coming in down here. Live chat's happening on one of these sides. So keep those for comments. Today's webinar, I do have a list of things that I want to talk to you about. It's not a sales webinar. You guys are already in, your Billy customers. It's just you, me, and a demo account. And I'm here to answer your questions so that you can be more effective with your Billy, not just with your Billy, but I'm really very excited about being able to help you create processes within your business finance. In fact, I was watching TED Talks yesterday, and this one TED Talk was about how goal setting is just a really bad idea, which is counterintuitive. The guy said, when you set a goal, you're basically in a state of failure until you achieve that goal. So let's say your goal is to write a novel. Well, the 9 months it takes to write a novel, you're failing that goal. And then when you achieve that goal, it's sort of not, it's not satisfying. You need another goal to feel like you can keep going. So this webinar, sorry, I'm thinking webinar, this video said, focus on process. So if your goal, for example, is to write a novel, okay, that's great, but instead of being in a state of failure for 9 months, why not set up a process? Like, I will write 750 words a day because I enjoy that process. And so that's what Billy does. That's what I'm hoping Billy can do for you, is to be your process that can take your business finances and make them really simple, like a checklist. Do my bills, reconcile my invoices, send late payment reminders, go make sure I have cash flow for the upcoming month, and that's it. Your accounting software shouldn't take you more than 10 minutes a week to use. That's what Billy was designed for. But here's the thing, with any process, it takes some investment up front to set that up, okay? So 1 hour today that you're gonna spend on the phone with me on this call is gonna save you hours and hours and hours over the next year, 2 years, 3 years, because you're going to have a process so that the time you spend doing your business finances is gonna be shorter and shorter. Okay, so enough about that. Let's see, no slides today. I'm gonna do a live demo account, and quickly about who I am. I love to play the ukulele. Sorry, but I've been playing for 3 years and I am completely addicted. I play every day. And I'm also really excited about Billy. I started with Billy in January to help them with process thinking. It's something I really enjoy doing. I love checklists. I love seeing how things fit together. I switched over my old business from an other accounting software to Billy because I thought it was more efficient. I am an author. I wrote a book called Job Searching with Social Media for Dummies, and I started 7 years ago an award-winning career advice blog, which has done really well. So that's sort of my expertise that I'm bringing to Billy, and I'm just excited to share that with you. All right, so with that, I want to get started. I'm going to switch this webinar screen around quickly. All right, now you can see my screen. Please let me know if you can. Just in chat, just say, yes, I can see your screen, or okay, good, cool. Thank you, guys. All right, good, you can see my screen. I want to go over as fast as I can the items on my list that I think you should know, so that we can spend the rest of our time together answering your specific questions, which is what this webinar is all about. So a couple of things that I want you to know. First, on every single screen in Billy is this little icon down here that has a lifesaver icon, and it has the word help. Every single screen in Billy has a video. We spent a lot of time making really easy to follow videos. There's the welcome video. If you click on invoices and you get stuck with invoices, click on help again, and now you're getting the invoices video and so forth. Every single screen or module in Billy has a help video, okay? Now, if you're still stuck and the video hasn't answered your question, what you can do is contact us here on the right. So there's a little chat bubble. You just click that, and you ask me or LA or anyone else on our team the question that you're struggling with. Just a few things to note: we don't have a phone number. This needs to be taken off, and I do apologize for that. Okay. So the next thing is that I'm curious to see, about 100 people on this call. I'm curious to see how many of you are switching from another accounting software versus not having an accounting software, meaning Excel or a shoebox filled with receipts. or whatever it is that you were using before. I'm curious to see what our ratios are. Okay. So a few QuickBooks, Google Sheets or spreadsheets, no software, Excel, okay, nada, ZipBooks. All right, it looks like it's sort of a 50-50 split just at first glance. I'm gonna try to cover both topics. And I wanna say in full disclosure that when you switch from one accounting software to another, it does take time. It's a complicated thing. Accounting, double entry accounting is complicated. I remember switching from what used to be, well, it's called GoDaddy bookkeeping these days, to Xero. And it took me several weeks to get it right. When I switched to, when I switched to Billy, it took me far less time because I'd done it before and I know what to think about. So what I want to do today is help you think about what are the considerations when switching from one accounting software to another. So if that indeed is your situation, these next couple of minutes are going to be incredibly important to you to make sure you continue to have financial success. So the first thing that I would suggest you do is go to your settings. A lot of the questions we get are just addressed by spending 5 minutes going through your settings. For example, we had a question this morning, how do I change my business name? Well, it's the first field in settings. How do you change your email address? Well, it's the last field in settings for your organization. How do I upload my logo and customize my invoices? Again, that's the first thing you see when you open settings. So spend some time here going through each of the setting modules to make sure that indeed this is how your business is run. I would say spend at least 5 to 10 minutes doing this. You'll discover cool things about Billy, like this email address. If you receive receipts, PDF receipts for things you've purchased, let's say you've purchased software from AppSumo and you want to account for that, you can forward that receipt to this unique email address and it will show up in your bills section. So you discover things like that, we just didn't have time to put on a sales page. You can edit your templates, do your tax settings, and so forth. And we're going to get to some more issues on taxes and tax rates in just a little bit. Okay, so that's the first thing. Go and just review the settings and see the functionality that Billy is capable of. The next thing you really should do is to look at your chart of accounts. So I'm going to come over here to accounting and then chart of accounts. Now, what needs to happen for your accounting to be contiguous between your old system and Billy is that your chart of accounts have to match. I'll say that again. Your old chart of accounts have to be represented in your new accounting software. So, for example, if I am getting reimbursed for client work, let's say I'm a speaker and I'm traveling to distant cities, and those travel expenses are paid back to me. Well, I don't want to account for those reimbursements as sales. Therefore, I'm going to need to create a new account. Now, just to zoom out quickly, when we say account in an accounting platform, we're not just talking about bank accounts. Accounts in an accounting platform are anywhere that money is accounted for. Those could be checking accounts or savings accounts or credit card accounts, but they could also be cost of goods sold accounts and expense categories. So there's two types of accounts in Billy. If I wanted to add a reimbursement account, I can create a new account, and I'm going to call that reimbursements. And this is going to be a revenue type of account or a direct cost account. This just depends on how you set it up. So let's set, or another revenue. So that's probably the best place to put it. I want to make sure I have some kind of accountability for that. Now, the numbering system is something that is a convention. It's not a requirement, and it's something you can check out online. And we'll talk about that in a second when I go through our chart of accounts. You can see that the numbering here is 600 for revenue. Direct costs are 700. More revenue or different types of revenue, again, is a 600. Expenses are 800 and 900 type of accounts. These are conventions. I suggest you keep with those conventions, but I want to add one really cool tip. When you're adding your checking account or your credit card, make the account number the last 4 digits of that checking account or credit card. That will really help when you're transferring funds back and forth. Okay, liabilities are 300 and so forth. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is your expense categories. So these are expense categories that are from the United States Tax Code Schedule C. Most LLCs and solopreneurs are going to use these tax categories. If you are in another country or want to distinguish between different types of expenses, you can create new expense categories. So let's say you have a widgets, or actually more practically, a software expense category. Just change the account type to expense, give it a 800 account number, and save the account. And now you'll be able to reconcile those transactions later on. Okay, chart of accounts. The other thing to make sure you have is all of your bank accounts. So if we scroll down here, I'm going to show you that I have my checking account, but you might have another bank account. For example, I have a tax escrow account. That means I take my income, put it away in a different checking account so I don't spend it, so I can make my quarterly payments. Well, how do you do that? In this case, you create a new bank account. We can call this tax escrow. Give it an account type. In this case, it's going to be a liquid asset because it's cash. And we're going to give it the last 4 digits. Now, if I am in the United States or have a supported bank for Billy, I can link that bank account. Now, in about 30 days, we're going to be upgrading our banking system to Yodlee. So it's the same bank linking system that QuickBooks, Wave, and Xero uses. So if you are coming from those platforms and your bank links, your bank is going to link in Billy coming forward. I hope that helps out. Okay, good. Glad to see people are hooraying that. You can keep, Diane, you're asking about keeping your numbers. You can totally change your account numbers. So we're gonna go ahead and change this, save this account. If you wanna change your chart of account numbers, it's very easy to do. There's a little pen and paper icon. You edit the account. And let's say you wanted this to be the 4-digit version, just add your 0, save the account, and it will update. As long as two, and you'll see that here, as long as 2 numbers are not the same, you're gonna be fine, and Billy won't let you save 2. Okay, chart of accounts. Any other questions about, Jennifer, yes, don't use your full account number, use just the last 4 so that you can identify those accounts. Just looking through your questions. PayPal, I want to talk quickly about PayPal. What do you do about it? We're getting a lot of questions about PayPal. I actually put together a really extensive help article just yesterday on how to do that. Setting up your PayPal accountability. If you do have PayPal, check that out. What you would do with PayPal is you would create a bank account. And if you have PayPal, this is fairly important to know. We are going to have native integration to PayPal, but until that happens, this is what you do. You create a new checking account called PayPal. You give it a liquid asset category and give it, just give it an account number. And you go ahead and save that account. That's going to allow you to update or upload your transactions. In the help article, I talk about how to clean up your PayPal transactions. The issue with PayPal is that when you download their transactions, thank you for Jennifer correcting my spelling, I'm a bad speller. No, you're probably right with that. So with PayPal, you get a lot of gunk in your downloads. So if you download from January 1st to present, you're gonna get transfers to and from checking accounts when you withdrew money or it needed more funds. You're gonna get currency conversions, you're gonna get fees and so forth. It's messy. So with PayPal, This is why a lot of the bank providers and financial software really has trouble integrating with PayPal. Is it just gives you too much information. All you need is what money did you get and what money did you spend. That's it. If you can clean up your CSV file, import that into Billy, it will be super easy to do. All right, so let's move on. So you have your chart of accounts. Now, the second thing to consider are your contact lists. Now, there's 3 types of contacts. You have customers. These are people who give you money. You have vendors. These are people who take your money. And then you have both. These are people who give you money and then take it away. You know, and it could be, you know, your accountant pays you for the website and then you pay your accountant for your taxes, whatever that is. But there's 3 categories. What you want to do is when you're transferring your contacts list from your old accounting platform is to make sure you're putting it in a format that Billy recognizes. So the way to do that is first export the contacts CSV file from Billy so you can see that you're gonna have 4 columns: name, email, country, and then type. And you're going to want to see how Billy uses the word customer or vendor or both. So when you import, just do 1 or 2 contacts at a time. Make sure you get it right, and then you do the rest of your contacts, because you don't want to, there's no way to do a bulk change. So when you do your import, make sure you get it right. Test out your import a couple of times before you do all of them. Okay, so you have your chart of accounts, you have your contacts. Now it's time to import your transactions from your old records. What I would suggest to do is to actually go directly from your bank account. So if you are migrating from Xero, QuickBooks, or wherever, it's actually probably a little bit safer to go directly into your bank online and download the records from the last month, say the first day of your tax season up until present. Well, how do you do that? Once you have that CSV file, and let's say this is completely blank for you, you have to click on this word reconcile right here at the top right. A lot of people are not seeing this, and we are going to turn it green and change the word. But this is where all of your importing is going to happen. So you would upload a statement. This would be where you upload your past transactions from your bank with only 3 columns: your date, the description, and 1 column for amount. That amount should be a number value in whatever currency your Billy account happens to have been created in. You upload that statement 200 at a time, and then you will see it populate all of these transactions here in the middle column. What's really cool about Billy is that it's intelligent enough to try to match your invoices that you've created and the money that you've received. So if we look at this left column, your bank is showing me that I've billed somebody $1,000 on June 20th. Now, what Billy is saying is, oh, that's the same amount that you have as an invoice in our system that is yet unpaid. So I'm going to suggest a match, okay? Now, if this is indeed a match, all you have to do is click match. If it's not a match, you can take it back and try again. I want to make sure that that's super, super clear. So any questions about how to reconcile the income for your bank? Okay, so let's keep going. What about expenses? Well, most expenses are going to be in your credit card. So let's swap this over to our credit card and look at, oh, look, I have paid for parking. So what do I do with this? Well, we call it a create a bill. Basically, what this is going to do is categorize the parking expense into your tax records. So we're going to create a new company called Parking, because honestly, I don't care if I gave money to the city of Portland or some private company that charges for parking. Parking's parking. And the expense category, of course, is going to be travel. As soon as I do that, the transaction is matched. It goes to my account overview, paid for parking. And a bill is automatically created so that I can see where I'm spending my money. So parking is here, and I can see all of the bills that I've paid and to whom I've paid them. What about when you pay your credit card? So check this out. This credit card has a positive amount of $261.92. Where did that money come from, and how do I account for paying down my balance? Well, the money came from probably your business checking account. And when we go to reconcile that business checking account, we can see that there's a payment to the credit card number for that same amount. So in order to show that transfer in Billy, we do something called create another transaction. When you do that, it's going to create a transaction for you to drag on top of that record. So you choose the credit card account that it was paid, and you click match. Now, as soon as you do that, the transaction will appear on the right side of your credit card account. Here it is for $261 paid from your checking account that matches to the payment in your credit card. This is how you show that you've paid your credit card in a double entry accounting system. And now with the account overview, we can actually see that the payment was made, and then our balance has actually changed. Okay. What about partial payments? What happens when, let's say, you get underpaid for work that you did? So, for example, here's an invoice for $100, and we actually have an $83 transaction in our account. When we drag that over, we're going to be asked, why are these not matching? Why do we have a $100 invoice and somebody only gave us $83? Well, we can apply a partial payment. And when we do that, it will completely update the invoice. So for example, if we have an invoice over here that is unpaid, and let's say it's invoice number 3 for widgets, we can go ahead and apply a partial payment to that invoice number 3. Which is over here for widgets. This is actually an overpayment, but I'm just showing you how this is going to show up. And this is going to be paid. So invoice number 3 is right here. And we can see that there was a payment that we posted for $105, and there's actually a balance of $45. Now, this person should probably get an update of their account. So that's easy enough to do. Just send the email again, and this person is going to receive information that they've only paid a smaller part of their invoice. They'll see what they've paid, and they'll see the balance. You could update this email to whatever you want it to be, and then you can go ahead and send that email. All right, I'm going to come up for air and come back to chat and see if you have any questions specifically about what I'm talking about right now. Okay, we have a question about Vlad, personal expenses. I'm just curious, go ahead and chat. How many of you separate your business expenses from your personal expenses? In other words, do you have a separate business checking account and a separate business credit card? Just let me know in chat if this is something that you do. Good, Ed, that's good. Vlad doesn't, okay. Good, not yet, all right. Jack, never mix business and pleasure. I think that came from the first Godfather movie, right? Okay, so what happens, how do you manage this? I'll show you very quickly how to do that. When you have your transactions inside of your bank account, you go to reconcile those transactions. And let's say that you, in your credit card, you paid for coffee, or you paid for coffee, and it was just you, and there really wasn't a business reason for it. Well, it's very easy to take this out of consideration. You just click on edit, select the entries, however many there are that do not pertain to your business, and delete them. You do not want your personal finances mixed in with your business. And if you don't have separate accounts yet, this is how you can take them out of consideration from Billy. Okay. Okay, good. So I want to also introduce you to one other thing. This is something that I think is buried in our user interface, and I want to make it more prevalent because there's a problem. Let's say you have a checking account, and you start paying back your credit card with your checking account. Well, when you first create an account in Billy, the balance is going to be 0, and then you start paying your credit card back. -100. Then you pay your credit card again, -200. And all of a sudden, your Billy account says that you have a checking account in the negative digits. Meanwhile, when you log into your bank, you have $3,000 in there. So why is this happening? It's happening because you haven't yet identified your opening balances with Billy. And that would be your next step when creating an account in a new accounting software. So how do you do that? Go to your settings. Go to your tax settings. Down at the bottom of tax settings is this one little place that needs to be bigger because it's really important, of edit account balances. Now, let's say that when I started to use Billy, I want to make sure that I'm accounting for my fiscal year. And my fiscal year is July 1st. So I'm going to make sure that all of my opening balances reflect what my bank account tells me I have on July 1st. Most important to do this is your credit card and checking account. Okay, so we're going to go down to our checking account, and my opening balance in my checking account is $3,000. Okay, but because this is double entry accounting, I need to balance my assets with my liabilities and equity. So if I put $3,000 in my business checking as an asset, that means I need to balance it somewhere on the other side of the balance sheet. The grandfather of all double entry accounting, assets equals liability plus owner's equity. Well, how do I do that? In this case, I'm going to include it in my capital contributed. So I put 300 here, my balance sheet balances. This is a balance check at the bottom. And now I can save my opening balances. If you are having trouble making this balance, one tip is to create a new account, not a bank account, just account, call it historical adjustment, and take whatever difference that is here and put that into historical adjustment so that you can save your opening balances. And when I do that, you'll see that my bank account, my checking account, has automatically updated to have an opening balance of $3,000. Now, when you look at your account balances, they should match what your bank is telling you you have. Okay, I'm lost. I know that this is a lot of information for a short thing. So I actually wrote a really long article on how to do all of this because I knew that we didn't have enough time to go into too much detail, and I know I go kind of fast. So if you go into our help center and you go and you type in setting up Billy, let's see where it is. I actually think I put it in our setting up guide. So getting started. And here it is, converting your books. So there's two options for this. Converting your books from another accounting platform. This is actually my step-by-step guide on how you can do this yourself. It's a really long article. and it's got a lot of details. If you don't want to do this yourself, and please know this is going to take several hours, no matter what accounting platform you transition into. We do have conversion services. So if you don't have a degree in accounting and don't want to get into it, and I think it's $39 to $100. Think about what your time is worth. Is it worth spending 2 hours figuring this out on your own, or could you just spend $39 and have the transition made for you? Totally up to you. I'm not going to make that call for you, but I bill out at more than $39, so it's worth it for me to do that if that service is available. Okay, enough about that. I want to talk about invoices for a minute. We call it bills. Really, this is expenses. What if I wanted to upload an invoice for that cafe that I went to and make sure that I capture that invoice somewhere for my accountant to see? Well, that's pretty easy to do. I can create a bill. And then I have this invoice. All I have to do is drag it and drop it. And here's my invoice. You can zoom into that automatically with a magnifying glass. The vendor was Symposium Coffee. And I had the coffee on July 4th. Coffee with Henry the 8th. And the expense category for coffee, of course, is meals and entertainment. I'm going to go ahead and approve this. And what happens now? Okay, so I want to account for that bill. I go to my credit card account, and you would do this once a week, and you'll see that when you reconcile your credit card account, here's coffee. And I need to categorize this transaction from my bank. Well, guess what? We've created a bill over here on the right side. And all you have to do is merge that over, drag it over, and put it onto the expense. If you don't want to upload a receipt every time, don't worry about it. All you have to do is create a bill, select the vendor, select the expense account, meals and entertainment, and then match it, and it's done. So that's how you take care of keeping your receipts. And if you want to see where you're keeping that information, go ahead on over to your account overview, and you can see that that expense was paid. Okay. We talked about partial payments. We talked about invoices. We talked about how to reconcile. All right, I think I'm done with my list. I want to move to your questions. We're about halfway through. I'm going to go and start answering your questions here. Just starting at the top, I have Paul. Do you have a step-by-step on using accounting software for a first-timer, someone who's never used accounting software? You know, that's a really good request. I think that there's a lot of people using Billy who simply just never used double entry accounting software before. This whole idea that assets have to equal liabilities and owner's equity is probably pretty cryptic. I know I struggled with it when I was learning about it the first time. So that's a good idea, Paul. We don't have that. I think we should. I'm going to write that down. Sorry, that's not the answer that you probably were hoping for, but I'm hoping that this webinar today can at least be a jumpstart for you. Is there a Facebook group for people who purchase the software? Absolutely, we have a Facebook group. I'm going to go ahead and put it in chat. Bear with me. Ton of people. I think we have over 500 people in there asking questions, very active. Here is our Facebook group. I'm going to put it into chat. You're welcome, Paul. Please join us. Great place to ask questions. Can you go back to a bill and upload a receipt later? Good question. So when you have already reconciled it, the bill is already created. So we can go to our bills. We can click on a bill that we've already done here. And we cannot upload the the image of the receipt. However, we could void it and then upload that receipt again. So we can go ahead and void. That bill will now be unpaid. And then we can go ahead and create that bill again by uploading the receipt. Hope that answers your question. Thanks, Jimmy, for asking that. Okay, James, I think I messed up an account and it won't delete. Yes, it won't delete if there are transactions that have been created on it. So archival is the only way to get over it. You could delete all of your account data. The way to do that, I'll have to show you in, let's see, in my Norway test. You can completely, it's the nuclear option. I don't suggest you do this unless there's no other way, but you can delete your account data. This will delete all of your invoices, bills, payments, transactions, bank statements, and so forth. You can even start over with products and contacts. It takes 24 hours after clicking that button. So just know that it will completely purge your account if you screwed up during your setup. Admittedly, I did that. I nuked my account probably 2 or 3 times when I was first getting started because I was just learning a new platform. I didn't upload my contacts right. I had too many voided transactions I wasn't happy with. So you can do that, James. Donna, since my business is new, I sometimes have to use my personal money to float the bill. Okay, I want to talk to you about, this is a really good question. It came up this morning as well. What happens when you pay yourself, so you're transferring business money to your personal account? What do? I do this every month. I call it owner's draw. Okay, when you pay yourself and you're an LLC or a solo prac, that's called owner's draw. It's not called salary. And the way to account for that in transaction is actually really simple. It's a single step inside of Billy. So we go to our checking account. Usually you're going to do a transfer from one checking account to another. So I'm going to go ahead and upload a new statement so you can see that. All right, so this is $3,000 that I sent to my personal account. How do I account for this? This could be a reconciliation of some kind of reimbursement, okay? So I think this is gonna answer your question. What you do is you create another transaction, and the account that it goes to is going to be your owner's draw. That's it. It takes money from the checking account, puts it into the owner's draw, and reconciles it on both accounts. Now, when we go to account overview, we can see that there was a transfer made to owner's draw and taken out of my personal, taken out of my business checking account so that my balances will equal what is in the bank. Okay. Let's see if I answered that question. Donna, did I answer your question? All right, some more questions. I have a parent company and my DBA is working out of there. We keep track each one and the overall payment company account. The way Billy is set up is that you have an account. So this is your Billy account. Under your Billy account, you can have multiple organizations. The organizations don't roll up to each other, okay? What they do is create a separate wall between them. So any user within one account can't see the user in the other account. You can create roles where you have an admin, another admin who can definitely have access to the organizations or not. If you have, it's really all just based on how you do your tax accounting. If you do your taxes at the end of the year with all of them rolled up, you probably want to have them in a single Billy organization. I hope that makes sense. And in which case you can create templates. And this is kind of cool. You can go to your settings and create a different invoice with a different logo. You create a new template, and you can actually change the appearance of that invoice so that it looks like it's from a different brand, even changing the logo and the name and the language that you use on the top of that invoice. So you can have multiple brands within there. Jack, I hope that answers your question. Donna, do you use owner's draw when you're putting personal funds into your business? No. So when you're putting personal funds into your business, that's going to be a little different. So not that different, but a little bit different. So let's say you have some money that's come in. Let's just say this is money that you transferred from your personal account to your business account. Again, you're going to create another transaction, and instead of owner's draw, you're going to do owner's contribution or capital contributed, okay? And then you reconcile that. And that's going to show up in your balance sheet. As equity, there it is, capital contributed. And that's going to be right here. Don, I hope that answers your question. Okay, Jimmy, so there's a clarifying question from you. Each expense on my bank account, I can either create a bill or another transaction. Yes, that's right. I always clicked on another transaction and logged it as an expense. It's not wrong what you're doing, but you're not going to be able to see how you're spending your money. The cool thing when you create that bill is that you can see how much money you're spending. You can see who your top vendors are in a list. It just gives you a little bit more transparency. All right. Closing your books, you do a trial balance. So this is, let's see, haven't done this in a while. Okay, trial balance is here. You do your trial balance. This closes your books. You give, and by the way, when you do close your books, you can't change them again. So if you close your books at the end of the year, Naomi, and then you want to go and make a modification to some expense category, you'll have to open them back up again. This is a fail-safe to make sure that funny stuff is not happening after you've actually paid your taxes. Okay, so CJ, how do you recommend starting with Billy mid-year? I started with Billy mid-year. If you want to start August 1st, you've been tracking in Excel. This is what I would do if you were starting mid-year. Go to your settings, your app settings, and make sure that you're setting the start date on bank synchronization to, let's say it's January 1st. Then you go to your tax settings, and then you set up when your fiscal year started, in this case for you, January 1st. Make that January. Don't lock here. And then make sure all of your opening balances reflect. I'll go ahead and save that. Make sure all of your opening balances reflect your January 1st balances. So you change this date, this conversion date, to January 1st. Everything is going to match when you started using Billy. Go ahead and save that. And then when you upload all of your transactions from Jan 1st to present, everything should match. I hope that answers your question, CJ. What did you do to take the coffee out? Okay, so that was a Naomi, are you talking about when I went out to coffee and it was not actually a business meeting? In which case, you do that very simply in the reconcile page. So you go to your account, click on reconcile, and then you click on edit. And then you could remove any of the transactions from your bank that don't belong there. Okay, I'm going to go down the list. There were some questions from earlier that I want to make sure I get to. Question about the VAT GST issue. I want to show you something, and it might not, we are working on that, by the way. We're going to have in settings, we're going to have, I got logged out, security, that's good. In settings, we're going to have a question that says, what do you call your taxes? And then you can just call it whatever. You can call it banana pancakes, and that's what your taxes are going to look like, okay? However, I do want to show you, I was speaking with an accountant in Canada, and I want to show you what he did when creating his tax rates. So head on over to your settings, and you go to your VAT rates, VAT rates, and you actually create a rate and call it whatever it is that you call your rate. So in this case, in Canada, in that region of Canada, it's called HST. And you create two different rates, one for purchases and one for sales. Of course, you do this because of deductions, right? You want your purchases to go to purchase VAT input. Sorry, this is getting in the weeds for some folks. And you want your sales to be sales VAT output, two different accounts, because when you report your VAT, you don't want that mixed in with your revenue or your expenses. You want those separated, and that's how you do it. You create two rates within Billy. In your case, it would be GST for in and GST for out. And then when you look at your invoice, and I'll show you what this looks like, it's not ideal. It is still going to say VAT. Here, I'll go back and show you what that'll look like. However, when you apply the rate to things and stuff, it is going to say HST on the invoice. So that's identified as the proper tax. That's the workaround for now. When we have the, what do you call your taxes? That's just, the VAT is just going to get called whatever, GST or whatever that you would called it. I hope that answers your question about GST. Tracy. For non-accountant bookkeepers, any tips for playing with Billy to see how it works for my business? Yeah, you know, play around with it for a week and then do the nuclear option and kill all the data and then start again. I also want to show you something for our American customers. If you're doing business across state lines, you can actually have multiple sales taxes and create rules. So let's just say you're in Texas and you want to make sure that anytime you do business in California, you're applying the business tax for California. Well, the way to do that is that if your invoice is going to California, you apply the tax rate that you've created for California. Okay. And so anytime you're sending an invoice to California, it will automatically apply the California sales tax rate. Nick asked a question, can Billy generate tax forms in the United States? We don't generate tax forms. What we do is have a chart of accounts that maps directly to your Schedule C. You know, tax forms, TurboTax is so good these days. Working with an accountant is so easy. You can invite your accountant in by just going to settings. And then, let's see if I can do this in Norway. Settings, users, you invite your accountant, and then your accountant can go and see things for themselves. So it is really easy to work with an accountant in this. Vlad, a link to my book. Just Google my name or put my name in Amazon, you'll find it. Art, you're asking a question, with the bank reconciliation module, any chance we can get accounts transfers to not be counted as income? Yes, I think I answered that question for you. when I showed you that you create another transaction, you do not create an invoice. And this takes it out of the revenue category. PayPal integration questions, we're hoping soon. We answered the question about separating. I'm going to go over and head to chat and see take a temperature of how things are going. Oh, what constitutes playing around, Jennifer? Send yourself some invoices, pay yourself $1 on Stripe, add some contacts, create some products, play around with the logo size, that kind of thing. Okay, where do you put your email address in AppSumo so receipts are automatically sent there? I'm not sure I understand what that means though. Could you elaborate and maybe put your question down below the video? We have a question from Trey. How do you do automatic recurring payments? That's not ready yet. So a couple of things on that. That's in quality control right now. We don't want to release features that aren't fully vetted. We want to make sure they work. So that should be coming out pretty soon. Keep in mind that when somebody pays, Stripe actually remembers who they are. There's a cookie and they're logged in. So they don't actually have to enter their credit card information again. It is not perfect, but it is a way to make things easier for recurring invoice payments. All right. Any other questions? We've got still a couple more minutes, and I want to make sure that you guys have a good head start with setting up your business financial success systems. Question from Ola: sending receipts and invoices and bills straight to Billy so it can be reconciled and paid. You showed us in the settings, so you wanted to see the email address, I think, for sending these into Billy. Absolutely. You go to your app settings, and this is a unique email address right here on the right within app settings. Put that into your contacts record. That's what I do. I created in Gmail a contact record called Billy Invoices, and I put in this address for Billy Invoices. So if I get an invoice for a payment, I just forward it into Billy, and then I can reconcile it later. Now, we also have a Chrome browser extension, so you can actually take a picture of a receipt. Let's say this is a receipt. I go like this, and it will actually show up as a bill. So if you do get HTML emails instead of PDFs, that's also an option for you. So we do have a Chrome extension, and our iOS app is being updated, so that'll be available as well, where you can take a picture and that will be there. All right, that should answer that question. When you did the paid credit card transfer, you created another transaction. Under what account is that? Right, so there's two accounts, right? There's the credit card that received the payment, then there's the checking account that paid it. Okay, so I'll show you that one more time. So the credit card was paid. So there's a negative amount in my business checking account, right? So far, so good. When you pay a credit card, your checking account has a negative value. You create another transaction, that goes to the credit card that you paid. You click match, head on over to the credit card that received the money, and that will be there for you to drop into that payment. Does that make sense? Good, thank you. Jennifer, does the conversion service walk me through preparation and setup? The conversion service is It's just data migration. So what the conversion service is going to do is replicate the chart of accounts from your old system into Billy. It's going to take all of your opening balances, create a balance sheet with opening balances, and take all of your invoices that are yet to be paid and create them within Billy. Salesforce Better Proposals integration, Paul. Whew, yeah, we're working on it. We have so many feature requests from us Sumo Links, and I'm a Sumo Link too, so I get it. I've asked for features. We have a pretty big list. We want to get to it as much as we can, or as fast as we can. We know it's important. The vision, Adam is a buddy of mine. We're on Skype almost every day. It's a vision we both share. We want to get this done as soon as we solve some really urgent issues, like fixing the bank integration problems so that you have access to your bank, and some localization issues so that you can change your tax settings and so forth. Once those burning issues are resolved, we're definitely going to have some really cool integrations coming up. Joe, yeah, you can use Billy for business and personal accounts. In fact, that brings me to something I wanted to tell you about. A lot of people are asking us, can I get another AppSumo code? The truth is we don't have any more. We don't have any more AppSumo codes, and AppSumo is completely sold out, and they have pretty strict rules about what their partners can give away. Unfortunately, if you wanted to create a second organization, let's say for your personal finances, or you have a different business, we're not going to be able to do that lifetime deal. However, I'm going to put this in the chat. What we can do is actually give you 50% off of premium for your first year with that coupon code. So if that's something that will help, I encourage you to take advantage of that. This is really just for Sumo Links who have asked us for, hey, can I get one more code, or I need to set up another organization. This is for you if you need to do that. So if you do want to use Billy for your personal stuff, and a lot of people do, this is how you can do that affordably. But again, I would say don't mix the two. Don't put your personal stuff with your business stuff. Really not a good idea. Go back to some questions here. Rodrigo, any way to customize the default email that goes along with invoices? Absolutely. That's super easy to do. Head on over to settings, go to templates, click on the template, click on language, and as you scroll down, you'll see the default email message. And you can go ahead and make any modifications you want to that. In fact, you could put it in any language you want. It's as long as it's recognized by Billy. Question from Donna, you probably answered this, but if I start this in July, can I go back and put my data from January to June? Yes, that's what we described earlier, is your app settings, and you just change all of your start dates to January 1st. Starting here, and then in your tax settings as well. So just go through all of your settings, make sure that you set it up to be January 1st, and then when you upload your transactions from January 1st, they will meet those criteria. Okay. Ole had a question, can another organization be set up on one account? Yeah, that's the idea. So you want to have one Billy account with multiple organizations. To do that, you click on your organization down at the bottom left, go to My Organizations, and just create a new organization. It's that simple. It will put one under your account so that you can have multiple organizations under one account. You're welcome, Donna, no problem. So real quick, I know that we're coming up at the end of time, and I want to be respectful of that. I'm getting a sense that there's a lot of questions about just accounting in general, business finance in general, just managing your day-to-day as a new business owner. I'm getting the sense, and I had similar feedback from earlier this morning, that it might be useful if Billy provided more support for you based around those things. Is that true? Just go ahead and chat and see if that assumption is correct. Okay, cool. Yeah, not an accountant or a bookkeeper. Yeah, we want to be able to, I mean, for me, Billy is more than just accounting software, right? It's business success for entrepreneurship. I really believe in freelancing and entrepreneurship and solopreneurship and small business. And I want to make sure that we're supporting you more than just being your accounting software. So I kind of got a similar feedback from folks this morning. If you could just, I put together a quick form, and I'm going to put that here into chat. If you want more support from Billy, more than just accounting software, maybe helping you set it up, maybe answering accounting questions from an actual accountant, maybe it's actual business coaching. Oh, Jennifer, you're a CPA. Okay, contact me. We're putting together an accountant's community. There's the link there in chat. If that's something that you're interested in, let me know. Really, I'm just getting user feedback to see how else Billy can be supportive for your success. All right, cool. Naomi has a question. I thought we could put as many organizations as we need in your account. Yeah, you can, but they'll all be on trial. And they'll expire in 14 days. The AppSumo code can only be used once per organization. That was part of their mandate. And also technically, a code cannot be used more than once. So you can have as many organizations as you want in Billy, but your AppSumo code will only be redeemed in one of those organizations. Ole still has confusion. Contact us on chat or check us out on Facebook. And by the way, if you're not in the Facebook community, lots of great questions. I'm going to put that link up again. Ole, and I'm sure either me, LA, or any of our members can help answer that for you. And I think that's it. I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for listening to me play the ukulele. This is recorded. You will get an opportunity to watch the recording again if we went too fast for you. Remember to fill out the form to let me know if you want more help from Billy. And also, if you do want to take advantage of that 50% for your other organization, happy to help you there. And I think that was the last thing. And join us on Facebook. Thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your week.